Hello, everyone. Welcome to Formulating Fridays. This is Dushan from Creating Perfume, and I'm, of course, joined by Christy and Kylie. So, in our last video, Christy and I talked about the inspiration and how to get there. In other words, how to understand what you're making and how to get, inspired by different things to create your fragrance. And now, a lot of you might be asking, well, now that I know what I want to make, what's the next step? Or what do I do next? Now, Kylie, because this is the first time that you will be blending or making fragrances, now what would you feel would be the next step when you have the idea?
I think I would just want to go buy things. I love a good shopping spree. So I would just, pick out a bunch of different materials in kind of the fragrance families. Like if I want to do something floral or fruity, just kind of pick a few options from those and get back home and start using my scent strips and just smelling things and kind of getting a good idea of what kind of fragrance I want or what notes I like more than others.
Very good. Yes, that makes absolute sense. You want to get familiar with the materials you're working with. In other words, you can hear the word frangipani, but until you really smell it for the first time, you don't know what it smells like, right? Unless you do have a frangipani at your home. Chances are you might. But the thing is, you're very right. You need to understand your materials to know what you're working with. If you're using perfumery bases, like the ones that we will be using in our videos, they might not be as expensive as some of the natural materials out there. Another thing is a very important phase, I feel, and this is something that Christy and I have been doing before we start blending the materials. A lot of people often will just buy the materials, smell them, and start blending right away, right? Sometimes these materials can be pricey, so you can easily break your back. So in order to avoid that, you do want to do something that we call sketching. Christy, do you want to share your opinion to why it is so important that we do not skip this part before we start blending?
I think the biggest reason why you want to smell all your smells
Yeah.
individually is because the strengths are different.
Oh, yeah.
And when you smell vanilla as compared to a soft floral, you're going to need to learn how to balance that.
Quite right, Christy. I absolutely agree. And it's because oftentimes people might want to start by, mixing the two things that they feel like work together. Like, for example, lemon and ginger, right? In most cases, one is going to have a higher impact than the other one. So you can just easily overdose a material by just guesstimating of how much you should add to your fragrance formula. By smelling them and understanding how impactful they are, how strong they are, you can get a better understanding of how they would possibly work together in a formula. And now, sketching by itself is basically taking all these materials, dipping your scent strips into these materials, and putting them near each other so that you can smell and see what they would potentially look like together if you were to mix them. Now, this is just going to give you a rough idea. It's not going to be exactly the same because ratios, right? It's going to be a different ratio when you mix or blend together your materials. However, it's a good start to understand where it is going, right? Frangipani note that we have in all our other notes are pre-diluted to 10%. You're going to save a lot of your material that way because you're just dipping a little bit of your scent strip into the material. So you're not using 100 grams or 10 grams or whatever of the material only to realize, oh, I overdid peppermint or, it's just taking over. Let's learn how to sketch today, if you agree, right?
Right.
So the material of the week is obviously Frangipani. So let's grab our Frangipani note. The materials that we will be using are the Elite Essence Labs perfume bases. They call them notes. And they're exclusively available at creatingperfumestore.com. So if you just want to check out what we offer, then go to the website. Well, we are going to need to start understanding our material to evaluate them or to smell them as well, the materials themselves. And now we have them pre-diluted to 10% in Perfumer's alcohol. So what you need is just grab your dilution of the material and you need the scent strips, the blotters. Now, here is a suggestion. Oftentimes, I really forget about what I've did on scent strips because I sometimes go back to it and just reevaluate it.
Mm.
I just don't know what it is, and I just love it so much. Few hours from the moment I dipped, and then it kind of makes me frustrated because I didn't
Yeah.
annotate it. So I would suggest that you always annotate what you are going to be dipping your scent strip in. So for this case, this is going to be Frangipani note.
You think that you won't forget. That's why it's so important to write it down. There are so many times that I'm sure that I won't forget, and I come right past. I have no idea what I did.
Specifically when you're dipping a lot of different scent strips, like imagine you're just evaluating 10 materials. You can easily just forget which scent strip is which. Another tip, you don't need more than half an inch, really.
Yeah.
Make sure to close your bottle because this is the alcohol solution. You don't want it to evaporate. Now, the thing is you don't want to smell it right away because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be saturating your nose with alcohol. You do want to wait for alcohol to dissipate a little bit. Why is this so important? Well, first of all, it's not good for you to inhale alcohol fumes, right? The second thing is that alcohol is known to have anesthetic properties. So it can really get you nose blind pretty quickly. Have you had that before, Kylie? Christy, I'm sure that you did. But you go into the department store, you start smelling a lot of different fragrances, all of a sudden you cannot smell anything, right? Or everything seems the same.
Yeah, totally. I have gone into like a little store and I start smelling all these perfumes that I think will smell nice, and then all of a sudden I can't smell anything anymore, so I have to take a lap and then come back and try again.
That's a great tip. And yes, that's your brain kind of telling you the smell that you're having is not a threat, because that's why we have the sense of smell. It kind of warns us of threats, right? So the moment your brain says, oh, this is not a threat anymore, it's going to habituate to that smell. In other words, it's going to fade it away for bigger danger. And, that can happen after smelling a lot of materials, but alcohol, it can kind of expedite that process really quickly. Right, now that we had a minute for this Frangipani note to sit on a scent strip a little bit, now let's smell it. And
I love it.
right, what are we smelling here?
Well, for me, I'm smelling. No, I don't want to say. I want you to say, Kylie. I'm going to influence you.
Okay, go ahead, Kylie.
It smells a little bit like, I don't know, if I like close my eyes and I smell it, it kind of smells like a white flower, something maybe like a plumeria a little bit. I can see, I guess if you want to like put colors to it, maybe like white with a little bit of yellow, like, yeah, I definitely get, it's a little bit familiar, like a jasmine scent too, like definitely something that grows on a bush is what I'm putting my money on.
And you would be absolutely 100% correct, because you get what? Frangipani is the plumeria flower. Now, it's very luscious, I would say, for me. Like, Chrissy, would you agree with this? It is.
Oh, yes.
And it's creamy,
Absolutely.
similar to jasmine. And it's creamy, and it is luxurious. It is beautiful. And maybe this is only me, but what I'm getting with this is a very bright, almost solar type of note behind it, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Like it's growing near the ocean. It's a floral that you would smell if you were in Hawaii.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Perfect. Very good. What we are going to share with you guys is also a formulation sheet. And this is so important. And we're definitely going to have a separate video to teach you how to use this one. But as you go into it, as you feel it out, especially when you're smelling and when you are getting inspired by something and deciding on what materials you want to use, there is an observation section right there. So what you can write there is what it smells like to you. You can write, for example, the nuances you're getting. Even the colors. Kylie, you get a great example. I'm seeing white. I'm seeing yellow. These are so important because, as we said in our inspiration video, these are some of the prompts that could actually help you when you are designing a fragrance. You can even say the texture that it reminds you of. For example, when I smell this, I can see a silky, smooth texture. Kylie, you did have an opportunity to smell some of the notes beforehand, right? Because it's
Yeah.
just too exciting. Everyone does it, right? So just smelling this, thinking that we are creating a summer fragrance, what do you think note-wise might work well together with this?
When I think of summer, I think of like fresh fruit and just kind of like having a snack and, being outside. And that kind of comes with like the frangipani note. I feel like it's very outside. Obviously, it's a flower, it's going to be grown outside. So I think something like maybe like a fruit, maybe like black currant. I feel like that's something that's like super sweet. And I have a sweet tooth. So I think that would pair very nicely. I would want that on a little plate while I'm sitting out by the pool. I smelled sandalwood musk earlier before we started filming, and I really liked how it was kind of creamy, which goes along with Dushan, your description of it being like satin, silky, just something that's very creamy, I guess, in a sense. So I think those would also pair very well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Is there anything else that you, for example, the sandalwood musk that you mentioned, that's base note. So it will be the base of your fragrance. And then obviously the Frangipani will be the heart of it all. And then, yes, the blackcurrant, that's a fruity note. It's a middle note, but it's, a very fruity note, the first thing that you're going to be smelling. Do you feel like you would potentially try to or wanted to add something else to it?
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I want a little bit of contrast because I'm kind of going with like sweet, creamy, kind of like heavier, I guess, things on your nose. So maybe like a citrus, like grapefruit, would be a good addition just to kind of brighten it up and give it a little punch of sorts, like a little zest of something.
Absolutely. Good call. Look at this. Your fragrance would be made out of four notes, am I right? Or is there anything else you want to consider adding? Because at this point, we're just sketching and thinking, hey, this is what our fragrance should look like.
Yeah, I think those four are kind of things off the top of my head, but I feel like it could be missing something. Maybe we'll find that out once we start smelling this all together. It might need a little something extra to maybe bring out more of the frangipani, for example, because I feel like I have a bunch of other things, but maybe another floral of some sort might help support that frangipani.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Great. That is a job well done. Christy, how about you?
Citrus. I'm looking at the citrus and I'm going straight for my blood orange.
Blood
I
orange?
love that.
Oh, that's my favorite citrus for sure. All right, I wrote down the blood orange. What else would you think would work well with this?
Well, I probably want to make something. I want to make it sweeter. I want to
Okay.
take the creamier and make it sweeter. So I know there's another note that I really enjoy,
Mhm.
and it's the tonka note.
Ooh, yes.
So it might be rich, but I think I would kind of like it to be rich and a little fleshy, little nighttime thing.
Absolutely. Oh, I can see it. I can see it. So basically, what we're having here is frangipani, tonka bean, and blood orange. Is there
Yes.
anything else you're considering, perhaps possibly?
Well, I think for me, there's always a bridge that makes my blends more cohesive. And that's the It's No Secret note. I
Yes.
love how that always puts a bow around what I'm making. Makes me feel like it's more professional smelling.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because this is a material, a base that was made exactly for that. It's going to help you with making your fragrance seem more commercial, I'd say, and it's going to help blend everything together, really. That is absolutely amazing. I'm just looking at all of your guys' notes, and I can see where Kali's going more fruity, and then I can see where Christy's going more towards citrus. And because of that tonka, that's kind of an effect that you're going to possibly be getting is a powdery effect. Perhaps was thinking maybe I should just work on a regular floral, just floral, because some
Yes.
are floral, that makes sense.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking of adding something in the vein of the frangipani, another flower, maybe tuberose, right? Let me
I
write
love it.
tuberose. And I'm also going to be using the It's No Secret for the same reasons Christy is. I think it really ties everything well together. Now, you use tonka. I want it to be more sweeter, rounder, I guess, than tonka. I need something that people are very, very much so familiar with. So I'm thinking vanilla,
Ooh,
Yeah.
I love vanilla.
Yeah,
right? I mean, everyone knows when you say vanilla, everyone connects to it, correct?
that's right. You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
You cannot go wrong. All right, so let me see. It could really work with the sweetness of this of this blend. Let's see. I feel like maybe it's what it's lacking is something to connect the sweetness of vanilla with the naturalness of the tuberose, and maybe I can offset that with another sweet note. I know this is gonna turn out to be slightly gourmandish. Maybe not. Maybe yes.
That's a good thing.
Right? So I'm thinking sweet moss.
Mm.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Gourmand for sure.
Gourmand, but it's gonna have that mossy edge to it. Right? So it's gonna have that finish that's probably gonna connect well with vanilla. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So let us see how that would work. So what we need to do is let's just grab the notes that we mentioned. So I have Frangipani, and then let's do Kylie's first, right? And I mean, that's another thing, Frangipani, if ever you're doing a floral composition like I am going to be doing, Frangipani is going to be brightening it up. It's going to make it more natural. It's going to make it more bright and summer-like. What we want to do is we want to put our scent strips that we just dipped into a small fan, just making sure that they don't touch each other, or the tips that we dip don't touch each other, because we want to avoid possible cross-contamination.
The sandalwood.
I really like this combination.
It is great. It is really good. Good job, Kylie. Here's another thing that I wanted to share with everyone. As we are smelling these, important thing to know is that we do not want to go deep breaths and inhale these materials into our lungs. That's the last thing we want. Remember, this alcohol-based materials, and there are a lot of different aroma chemicals in them. We don't want that into our lungs. So just short and sweet sniffs.
I have a friend who always said, just do bunny sniffs. Sniff like a bunny when you
Perfect.
sniff.
Perfect.
I always think about that.
That's perfect. Wow, this is great. This is very fruity.
Really good.
Very
Really
Yes,
good.
I really like the fruitiness.
Mhm.
I like the grapefruit. It gives it a nice brightness to it, but I don't know if you guys are smelling this, but I don't really smell any frangipani anymore. I feel like it's not floral. It's too fruity. I want it to still be there.
That's a good call. And you see the fruit, that's what we were talking about. The fruit material, so the fruity material that is, for example, the blackcurrant and the citrus, they're kind of taking over. They're stronger punching materials. They have a higher impact. So yes, if you want to balance this out, perhaps maybe adding another floral might be a good idea to kind of emphasize the floral aspect of the fragrance.
Maybe not like a rose note. Do you have any suggestions on what I should use? Maybe something that's kind of in between, like a sweeter floral of some sort.
What about Baronia?
Oh, yes. That is
Baronia?
absolutely, because Baronia has a floral yet fruity facets to it. It's almost, that's a really good call, Christy, because it does have that black currant facet underneath. So that I think that's a brilliant choice.
Let me add
All right.
Yes. Juicy.
Yes. And now, but you can smell I would say the floral aspect of this fragrance is now pushed forward. It's kind of pushed forward, and now the fruity materials, they're slightly subdued.
Yes.
Yes.
I agree. That was a good call. I love the suggestion.
Yes. Great job, Christy. Thank you for sharing that. Kylie, this is good.
Yes.
Right. So let me write it down. We are adding Baronia note. All right. Now this is how you sketch, really. Now, see, we just use a tiny little bit of this material, right? Just a tiny little bit. And then we get an idea where this is going. Now, we don't know what it's going to look like because Kylie hasn't done her formula, her ratios yet. But she now understands that if she adds a lot of, say, grapefruit and blackcurrant, that they're going to most likely take over the fragrance. Now, the best way to check that would be to formulate it, to mix it together, and then to wait some time to see what the chemistry of it all would do. But at least you know that if you were to put a lot of grapefruit, let's imagine you put 50% of your fragrance grapefruit, then you know that it's going to take over. It's going to take over substantially. So this is why sketching is a great idea before you start using these materials.
Gotcha.
Great job, Kylie. I love this. If you do have a petri dish, for example, you want to preserve this a little bit. What you could do is you could basically take a little glass petri dish like this. Yes, you're basically capturing these molecules. They're playing around.
Mm-hmm.
And what you have to do is just lift it, come back and smell it. It's going to give you an idea of how these materials could potentially blend together. Christy, let's move on to yours, shall we?
Oh, okay. Let's see. Well, we know I can already say I'm going to use Frangipani. Oh, and my blood orange. I think, and Tonka. I still want to try the Tonka with it. And it's no secret.
All right, now that we have Christie's on our scent strips, what are we thinking? Kylie, maybe you'd like to start first?
Yeah, totally. I like how mine was very like fruity, kind of more daytime cool, and this is kind of like a summer sunset. Like it's very different, and I really like how they almost complement each other. And so I'm hoping when, we eventually formulate these and, evaluate them later on, that it'll be like a nice day to night kind of different options that someone may want to make.
Yes, I totally agree. And you know what I really like about this is that the tonka bean is creating an effect together with a citrus, in this case, the blood orange, which is making it slightly powdery. And it's really very summery type of fragrance. And I can totally see what Kylie mentioned, that this might be, end of the day, sunset, you're sitting, having a cocktail, perhaps by the beach. It's just wonderful. And you can smell that Frangipani just slightly going through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm happy that the Frangipani is still shining through.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Underneath that blood orange.
All right. Well, great job, Christy. Now let's move forward to smell minery and to see what you guys think of that. All right. Now, I'm just going to let Kylie and Christy say what they think first.
All right, Kylie. You know I'm not going to step on your toes. You go first.
Okay. Let me just... It's very sweet, but it's a different sweet. Like, it's different than mine because mine is more fruity and this one is more kind of... I really like the vanilla and the sweet moss.
This is like a full-bodied white floral with a cotton candy twist.
Oh, yeah.
It brings it up and makes it more modern.
Yes.
It's a modern, sweet, white floral.
Yes.
Yep, that is totally the intention. I wanted to go floral, but I wanted it to be sweet, like in between of what you guys were creating, because I had Kylie that had sweet and fruity, and then Christy had that powdery floral. So I thought, I can still get the similar effects, but being in between to where I can be more floral. So I like what Kylie said, that her fragrance is more morning, right? As we go up, and then the Christie's more evening. And I feel this might be the afternoon, right in between the two. So you were onto something when you said, hey, it'd be awesome if we would create the whole day inspired.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, this reminds me of when the flowers are at their most open.
Yeah.
Right, and you get all of the fullness of the daytime.
Right, absolutely.
I like that.
Absolutely, and this is slightly, and I feel that the sweet moss and the vanilla is making it more commercial.
Yes.
Yeah, it's giving it that commercial edge.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like going to get ice cream after going to the beach.
Yes.
Like a little sweet treat.
That's
Yes.
absolutely amazing.
I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, you know, this is the thing. We're going to see what it's going to look like when we start formulating it. And, you know, with that being said, this is just another step before you go into the next step. Now, this is part one. On the next video, we will definitely show you guys how to, based off of what you had in your sketching session, you're going to then balance out your formula based off of, you know, based off of what you've smelled here. For example, you know, we know that sweet here in my fragrance could take over easily. So I'm going to be very careful with using these sweet materials. Thank you for joining us today as we sketched our fragrance ideas. Don't miss out on our next video where we are going to be turning these sketches into actual fragrance formulas. Bye!